Imagine, a world without German cars on the road.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to picture, right?
Yeah, it is.
Like, the precision, the performance, those iconic brands.
Absolutely.
It's a scenario that, seems almost unthinkable,
It does.
but it's a possibility that we have to at least consider.
Right.
Because Germany's car industry, this powerhouse of, engineering and innovation, it's facing a serious crisis.
Yeah, it is.
And we're not just talking about a dip in sales here.
No.
We're talking about a fundamental shift
Right.
in how people think about mobility.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you've seen the headlines, right?
Yeah.
Job losses, economic uncertainty, even whispers of government bailouts.
It's a mess.
It's a really complex issue.
It is.
With some potentially huge consequences. And while we have a ton of articles and research on the list today,
Right.
we're going to zero in on one piece in particular that I think you found really interesting.
Yeah.
The German car industry in crisis. Unveiling the core dilemma and a radical path forward.
It's a mouthful,
It is a bit of a mouthful.
but it's a really fascinating read.
Yeah, and this article, it doesn't pull any punches.
No, it doesn't.
It suggests that the situation is way more dire than many people realize,
Yeah.
and that a partnership with Tesla might be the only way out for these German automakers.
That's the big takeaway, right?
That's a big one.
It's a bold claim.
It is a bold claim.
And what struck me was how the author presented this idea of a partnership.
Yeah.
It's not just, a strategic business move.
Right. Yeah.
It's framed as a matter of survival.
Like their backs are against the wall.
It's
And the article paints a very stark picture
It does.
of the potential economic fallout here,
Mm-hmm.
citing one study that predicted up to 400,000 job losses
Wow.
in the German car industry by 2030.
400,000 jobs.
That is a lot of jobs.
That's a whole city.
It is.
I mean, to put that in perspective, that's like the entire workforce of a city like Oakland, California.
Yeah.
Gone just like that.
Oof.
So yeah, the article really drives home the severity of this situation.
It does make you wonder, though.
What's up?
Is this just a case of German automakers being slow to adapt to the electric vehicle trend?
Right.
Or is there something more fundamental at play here?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And that's where this article gets really interesting, because it argues that the issue goes way beyond just switching to electric cars.
Really?
Yeah, the author believes that German automakers, they've missed a crucial technological shift,
Okay.
the convergence of EVs with full self-driving capabilities.
So you're saying it's not enough to just build a sleek electric car anymore.
Yep.
You need the brains behind the wheel, too.
Precisely.
So tell me more about that.
Well, the article leans heavily on the work of disruption expert Tony Seba.
Okay.
And Seba argues that the real revolution isn't electrification in itself. It's the fusion of that electrification with true autonomy.
So it's not just about the car. It's about the tech that drives the car.
Exactly. It's about software, artificial intelligence, data.
So it's about becoming a tech company that builds cars.
Exactly. Not just a car company that's dabbling in tech.
Right.
And that's a fundamental difference.
It is a huge difference.
And the article argues that German automakers, they just haven't grasped that yet.
I see.
They're used to a world where building a superior engine
Right.
or, a luxurious interior was enough to stay ahead.
Yeah, like that was the game.
But the game has changed.
And they haven't quite caught up yet.
Not quite. And the article argues that they're running out of time.
So what needs to happen?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Because
The article proposes a radical solution. The article uses a really good analogy to kind of illustrate this point.
I like a good analogy.
It talks about the mobile phone industry
Okay.
and how, back in the day, phones were just for calling. Right.
Right, like this big clunky thing
Exactly. Those were the days.
with the rotary dial.
Yeah, you'd be lucky to get a text message out on those.
Yeah, and then suddenly, bam, smartphones came along.
It all changed so
It's
fast.
like a whole new world.
And the companies that were slow to adapt,
Right.
the ones stuck in the old ways of thinking,
Yeah.
the Nokias, the Blackberries of the world,
Oh, yeah.
they really struggled to catch up.
Yeah, some of them didn't make it.
Exactly. It was a complete disruption.
So you're saying the auto industry is on the verge of a similar kind of upheaval.
Exactly. The article argues that the traditional ways of building and selling cars,
Yeah.
they're not going to cut it anymore,
It's adapt or die.
basically. And the article suggests that German automakers,
Yeah.
despite their long history of engineering excellence,
Right.
they've been slow to grasp the significance of this software revolution.
So they're really good at building amazing machines.
Yeah, beautiful machines.
But they're lagging behind when it comes to the software that makes those machines smart.
That's the gist of it, yeah.
So where does Tesla fit into all of this?
Well, that's where the article gets really controversial
Okay.
because it proposes that a partnership with Tesla.
With Tesla?
Yeah, as crazy as it
I
sounds,
think it does sound kind of crazy.
it might be the only way for German automakers to survive.
Wow. So you're saying like Mercedes-Benz teaming up with Tesla?
It sounds unthinkable, right?
It does.
But the article argues that it's not about traditional rivalries anymore.
Right.
It's about recognizing that Tesla isn't just another car company.
Okay.
They're a tech company that builds cars.
So what would this partnership look like?
Well, the article lays out a pretty detailed plan.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It suggests that German automakers should swallow their pride. That's a tough one.
It is. But survival often requires tough choices.
True.
So the article proposes a strategic alliance where German automakers would essentially leverage Tesla's expertise.
In what ways specifically?
Well, first and foremost, they would license Tesla's self-driving technology.
So instead of trying to catch up on their own,
Exactly. They'd be taking a shortcut.
I mean, it makes sense why reinvent the wheel, right?
Exactly. Especially when you're already behind in the race.
So they'd be buying access to Tesla's tech.
In a nutshell. Yeah, licensing agreements, technology transfers, that sort of thing.
And that would allow them to close the gap in the autonomous vehicle market.
Exactly. They'd be able to bring self-driving cars to market much faster.
Okay, so that's step one. What's next?
The article then talks about those massive battery production facilities that Tesla is known for. You mean the gigafactories?
Yes, the gigafactories.
To be honest, I don't really understand what makes them so special.
Well, they're not your typical factories. They're more like these technological marvels
Okay.
designed to churn out batteries on a massive scale.
And why is that so important?
Because batteries are the heart of electric vehicles.
Right.
And right now, the industry is facing a huge shortage.
So Tesla has cracked the code on battery production.
They're pretty much leading the pack, yeah.
And the article suggests that German automakers should try to replicate that success.
Exactly. They propose building similar gigafactories in Germany.
Interesting. And what would be the advantage of that?
Well, for starters, it would give German automakers access to Tesla's expertise in large-scale battery production.
So it's about knowledge transfer as much as anything else.
Exactly. It's about learning from the best.
But wouldn't building these gigafactories in Germany be incredibly expensive?
It would be a massive undertaking, for sure.
And where would the funding come from?
Well, the article suggests a combination of private investment and government support.
Government support. So taxpayers would be footing some of the bill?
Potentially.
Yeah.
But the article argues that it's an investment worth making
Why is that?
because it would create jobs.
So it would help offset those potential job losses that we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It would be a way to transition workers from the traditional auto industry to the EV industry.
Interesting. So it's not just about saving the German car industry.
Right.
It's about positioning Germany as a leader in the future of mobility.
Precisely. And the article goes even further.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah, this partnership, it wouldn't just be about technology and manufacturing.
Well,
It would also involve a fundamental shift in how German automakers sell their cars.
so they'd be completely changing your business model?
It would be a radical departure from the traditional dealership model.
But Tesla has had a lot of success with that direct-to-consumer approach.
They have. And the article argues that German automakers need to follow suit.
So no more haggling with salespeople over floor mats.
Exactly. It would be a much more streamlined and transparent process,
I can see how that would appeal to a lot of car buyers.
especially younger generations who are used to buying everything online.
It's definitely a bold vision for the future of the German car industry.
It is, and the article acknowledges that it won't be easy.
I mean, there are bound to be some serious roadblocks along the way.
For sure. I mean, there's the issue of national pride, for one.
Right, like the idea of German automakers partnering with an American company.
Especially one that's seen as a disruptor.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
It is. And then there's the whole cultural shift that would need to happen within these German companies.
Right, they're used to doing things a certain way.
And this partnership would require them to completely rethink their approach.
It's a fascinating dilemma.
It really is. And it raises some bigger questions about the future of the auto industry as a whole.
I mean, is this a sign of things to come?
Are we going to see more partnerships like this in the future?
Between traditional automakers and tech companies.
It's definitely a possibility.
It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
For sure, this is a story that's still being written.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I think we're going to have to wrap things up for today.
I've enjoyed this deep dive.
Me too. It's been really insightful, and I think it underscores something really important.
What's that?
That the only constant is change.
Especially in the tech world.
Right, and the companies that are able to adapt and evolve.
Those are the ones that will survive and thrive.
Well said. I think that's a great takeaway for our listeners today.
Absolutely.
So thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the German car industry crisis.
My pleasure.
And to you, our listener, thank you for tuning in and for sharing these thought-provoking sources with us.
Until next time.
We'll keep exploring the topics that matter most to you.